To say a little PSA.
Yes.
We usually play music right now, but this is a very educational and informative session.
Yeah.
So we're speaking the whole way through. People know.
RoyaltyRadio.ca.
All right, now we got the one and only DJ P Plus in the building, man. Welcome, man.
Yeah.
Gonna get some info.
Cheers.
Yeah. This is gonna be a good one, I feel it.
Most definitely.
I'm already clapping.
I'm pretty sure everybody's really tuned into this. They want to know what's going on. Of course, in your perspective, man, what events led to the whole takeover by Chum?
Very simply put, the station, commercial radio is about selling ads. It's not about music.
Okay.
The music is the byproduct.
Right.
The main focus is to sell ads, and how you sell ads is your ratings, right? And it's BBM. So if you're not making certain ratings, then you can't charge the advertiser a certain amount of dollars. If you're not bringing in a certain amount of dollars, you can't run your radio station.
Right.
Now, with a station like Flow, although we were independent, we were competing with major,
Right.
we were really trying to compete with major stations, which is cool, right? But if you're only bringing in a certain amount of dollars and you're not able to run your business, then you're really not running a business.
Most definitely.
And that essentially, that in itself is more or less the mainframe for why Flow sold, right? And I haven't really been speaking on it. I think because one of the things, and I'm pretty sure we'll get into it, is I had to really sit back and see how the city was feeling about it.
Right.
And the one thing I will say, and I'm pretty sure we'll get into it, is that the city's way off base in terms of what their feelings, and it really comes down to ignorance. Like, we're not very familiar with business. Our industry is very young, like our actual industry. So even having a lot of friends who are DJs in the States, I'm talking about going there to make show summits for years and seeing guys, and the next thing you know, you don't see them again.
Right.
Either because they're affected by the recession hitting them, hitting like the U.S. economy hard enough to where people aren't spending money on entertainment, so people aren't spending money to go out and party, so DJs not getting paid, to stations not having mix shows anymore because Clear Channel bought up all the stations. We'll get into all that, but the fact is, we're not accustomed to this. Our industry is very new. So we'd equate it to things like racism, or we'd equate it to things like whatever. And I'm going to say that I am a black guy on a commercial radio station that had carte blanche to break records, check for talent I could check for, plus be myself on my midday show and then turn around and do a real frequency. There'd be no other opportunity in the world to do something like that. And it's not because of race, it's not because Chum hates anybody in his business. And we'll get into it more, but I just want to clarify that because I've been holding back my thoughts. I haven't been tweeting as much, but it wasn't because I was hurt by it. I was actually happy, which we'll get into as well. But there's a lot that has to be said, but it's far from racism. It's not that Chum hates anybody or they fired all the black people and it was Black History Month. And the timing could have been a bit off, but it's a corporation. They're not looking.
They don't care about.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they could look at their fiscal years. There can be way more things that are like that can be so minute at the time. But we'll get into it. I'll let you guys go.
So in terms of the news, man, when it first hit you, like, was it something that was expected? Was it something that you knew?
Oh, we knew it was coming.
Yeah, you guys knew, right?
Yeah, we knew it was coming.
Okay.
And you guys knew from, I guess, when the actual sale happened, or
no? They came in. And they were like, hey, we're gonna buy a station. And we're gonna change some things. But we're not gonna change too much. And we'll see what happens from there. So right away, and again, for our industry, but this in the radio industry itself, people buy stations, they flip stations all the time. And usually what happens is, it's one day you come in, you're doing a show, you come to the office, okay, we're flipping the station, here's the package going. So they came in, they gave us and then they came in months ago, they were like, yeah, we're gonna do this. But I think what happened was, and we can get into this too, is I think they did the research. And these are the things I don't know. So I could only speak on just, being educated about radio business and talking to my friends in the US. I think they did the research, because they have to do a lot of research just to check how the music you're going to bring on air, how it's gonna hit the market, and if they can have enough market share
to justify it.
Yeah, to justify it and like and sell ads, right? So basically, if they're looking to be a 5 share, is it feasible doing that while being urban? Maybe not. And if the research says that no urban stations are urban 5 share and they need a 5 share because they spend X amount of dollars on buying the station, then they can't be urban. That's it. And there's no like, it's not science.
That's straight.
But that's what people understand. So I mean, mind you, we're speculating here. I don't know what the exact research was, but I do know that's probably what it was. So then when they came, they were like, look, we've done further research and there's gonna be changes. But if you listen to Flow, I think it sounds great. I think it sounds great in terms of like having a credible station that is a real commercial station. So now if you have artists who actually have a song on there, I think it's gonna have way more impact. And to me, that's what it's been about. It's never been about like a P+ show. I always put the artist first because I'm one of the few DJs that really understood that if you can start building a buzz in your own city, it goes so far. And I think as DJs we overlook that sometimes, but it's so powerful when I could like play like, yeah, you know this because I love it. Not because you guys pay me to play it or because whatever. And I mean, I'll go to places and people will be like, yo, you know it? Or like you go to a club and people react to it because they got the bubble from the radio. Or I play a song that hasn't been added yet and then I'm driving in my car and the song's added because I broke it.
Exactly. No,
so the point is now, if you have that platform, like a real commercial platform, with music to be heard, take out the word commercial, just a platform that has more reach. Think of what we do with that. What was I able to do with Hooping for Haiti? Sorry, one more thing. That was because of my reach, why that was successful.
But I think it's going to suffer in a way because someone like you is not there to be that kind of gatekeeper to allow indie artists into that channel, right? So I think it might be a little bit more stringent and harder. That filter might be a little bit more stronger now. What do you think about that?
That's an amazing, you said like an amazing topic and I'm pretty sure Faith can agree. And because I'm not there, I'm going to say this, we need that filter. Too much, we had way too much stuff on there, in my opinion, that didn't really make the cut. And I felt like, and again, man, that's like the music director, that's like one of my he's really a friend of mine, so it has nothing to do with him. But what we really have to understand though is that Flow tried its best to have a social imperative and a commercial incentive. And that's really hard to balance. We can't name a lot of businesses, like we can name people like philanthropists like Bill Gates. He's a guy that has a social imperative, but he's like a zillionaire. Right?
He's a zillionaire.
Exactly. So what the point is, I just think when it comes, and especially with this kind of business model for radio, it's really hard to do. And you don't normally see that. The most successful radio stations are ones that are about the programming, about the hits, and understanding that you have to engage a listener and getting up your TSL, which is time spent listening, and just making sure that the station is as clean, as best as it sounds. So when people are listening, after the music, they hear the ads, and they tune on for that.
Well, for quite a while, we felt that Flow wasn't the same Flow that it used to be when it first came out. Predominantly being like hip hop, R&B thing. Kind of gradually led into some other stuff in terms of pop and stuff. Was there a point in time where you felt that it wasn't following that phone line that was going off in a different direction, or what was your opinion?
No, well, I mean, that's the station flipped. But, I mean, again, we weren't used to that, and the station went from urban to rhythmic top 40, right? And I feel that's what the station needed to do at that moment in time because it wasn't representing with the dollars, right? And the ratings were going down, right? So, with that said, that was just a more like a core reality of the station situation, and it wasn't the same. And I mean, whether or not it needed to be can be discussed in many ways. Are there things that, and I say we because it was definitely part of Flow, the things that we could have did better, well, not me specifically, like maybe the programming director and all these other things for sure. But the fact is, whatever we were doing at that time in urban wasn't working.
And of course, but that will be to the next question. If you were running Flow, what would you have done better to actually make it, still be out there, still viable to the people?
And seeing like how it was in the past and what it is now.
It depends. Like, are you talking about running the station, playing hip hop and R&B, urban, like having a hot 97?
Yeah, how would you juggle that whole...
Being a hot 97, basically. Yeah, being a hot 97.
That's a hard question to answer because there's a lot of variables that play into why Hot 97 is whatever. And I think what we would need to do is maybe like we can do a part 2. Like maybe we should like do a podcast where we research together and like maybe do something like that and then have a discussion on the research because Hot 97 isn't Hot 97 doesn't bring in the most revenue for urban stations. It's
V103.
Yeah, V103, right? But mind you, how many people live in New York? 20 million. Right? When Funkmaster Flex plays a record, that's like heard all over the world. So there's like really when you're running, to me, I think from what I gather, and I don't know if it's true, I think we have to do some research. But the first thing that you need is when you're running an urban station, it shouldn't be about the numbers per se. It should be about understanding that you need a station that is so authentic that you build loyal followers regardless of the numbers. And then the second thing to that is making sure that you can run a station scaled enough to project what you're going to make. So for instance, if you know that you're only going to be a 2-1 share, then if you're, for people online, just look at BBM numbers and you can see that kind of what it means in relation to how much someone can sell ads depending on what your share is. But if you have a 2-1 share, and you know that that's what your station is going to make, maybe you need to have a small station.
Cut costs.
Right.
I want to get back to this. You said it talked about authenticity.
Yeah.
So did you not think that Flow was being authentic and catering and being...
No, I think Flow was... I really do believe that Flow was being authentic. I mean, if you look at the shows, OTA Live, take myself out of the equation.
OTA Live.
Starting from scratch. OTA Live. Dr. J, there's nothing more authentic than that. To the point where people are rallying when we're done with your show, right? But is that enough to go against Z? Right? The point I'm making is when Angie Martinez says, you know what, we have to stop police brutality, people are going to respond, but there's that much people for it to make sense. And they connect with those people that way. So it's like Hot 97. In that case, it's not really about Hot 97 bringing in the most money. Because they have, like, if Jay-Z wants to drop a song, he goes, this ain't for the other station, this is for Hot 97. They have that kind of relationship. So the only thing I really learned from that is if you're running an urban radio station, it can't really be about the competition. But the flip side to that is that's what radio is about. It's about market share. And if you have 4 different stations sharing the same market, how can we really make money? It's like having like that one pen and all 6 of us want to share it. Like, how's that really going to work?
Yeah, I think though I guess the argument then is that's their cash flow situation, is that they were just spending too much. Is that what it comes down to? I mean, you alluded to that at the beginning of the show, but
I mean, yes and no, because at the end of the day, like, regardless of whatever is coming out of the speakers, the radio station has to make money.
And what do you say it was the format, like the type of show that it was? Was it, do you think that was the difficulty in actually bringing in the revenue, or was it that, I guess, the people who were running marketing weren't running it as hard as they should have been? What do you think it was?
I think it's a mixture of the two. I definitely believe it's the format, and I also believe it's the time as well. Because radio stations' revenues have gone down just across the board. And given Flow's situation, it's going to impact the smaller stations more. Because remember, like, we're going against Edge. We're going against Kiss. We're going against Chum and Z. And I think, if I'm correct, I want to make sure I'm educated here, that Z and Flow are the main 2 independents, and the rest are majors, right?
So that's pretty hard.
RoyaltyRadio.ca